the debt-fueled utility playbook. Here's what actually happens when private equity buys your electricity. Step 1. Acquire with leverage and push the debt onto the utility itself. The holding company borrows aggressively, but the liability lands on the operating utility that serves your home. Because it's a regulated monopoly, the cash flow looks safe, so lenders play along, especially private credit arms hungry for steady distributions. Recent deals from Blackstone, via GIP, Brookfield, KKR, and Macquarie follow this pattern. The moment the deal closes, the company you rely on is carrying a mortgage it didn't choose. Step 2. Declare synergies. Most people think synergies mean efficiency. In practice, it often means cuts. Vegetation management cycles get stretched, inspections go from proactive to reactive, and contractor budgets shrink. Staffing thins out, especially experienced linemen and troubleshooters. Reliability doesn't fail immediately, it erodes. Everything looks fine in fair weather, but storm seasons expose the gaps. That delay is part of the strategy. The owners aim to flip the asset in 5 to 7 years, so long-tail problems become someone else's problem, usually you. Step 3. Revalue assets and pursue cost recovery in rate cases. This is where the incentives get twisted. Regulated utilities earn a return on rate base, basically, the capital they're allowed to collect profit on. Maintenance is treated as an expense and doesn't earn a return. Therefore, there's an embedded push to convert as much as possible into capital projects. Poles replaced, CAPEX. Substation upgrade, CAPEX. Software modernization, often CAPEX. Reliability maintenance that doesn't grow rate base, that's the orphan. Most people think CAPEX equals progress, but when maintenance is starved, the shiny projects don't prevent basic failures. Step 4. Extract fees. Upstream management fees, monitoring fees, advisory fees. These drain cash before it reaches the work that keeps your lights on. Add special dividends, funded by recapitalizations. The utility borrows again, pays a dividend to the parent, and ratepayers inherit the debt service through future filings. If you've ever wondered why your bill has new riders and surcharges, storm cost riders, infrastructure riders, vegetation riders, it's partly because debt and fees need a path back to cash. Step 5. Flip within 5 to 7 years. The exit narrative points to stabilized earnings, de-risked operations, and expanded rate base. Translation: the financial plumbing is set, the filings are in motion, and the next owner gets a machine that reliably converts your payments into predictable returns. Any long-term reliability risk sits with the public and the regulator, while the seller walks away with the promote. Now, the core problem underneath all of this is the rate base incentive. Profits are tied to capital deployed, not necessarily to the uptime you experience on a windy night. Performance metrics exist, but they're often weak teeth. Modest penalties for outages and small bonuses for hitting targets that can be gamed with weather normalization and selective reporting. Everything changes when you realize the easiest way to grow profit is to grow rate base, not to minimize outage minutes. But here's where it gets interesting. The playbook relies on complexity to keep you disengaged. Rate cases run thousands of pages. Expert witnesses say reliability will improve with targeted investments. Meanwhile, O&M gets capitalized, taking tasks that used to be expenses and reclassifying them as CAPEX so they earn a return. It's legal if structured properly, but it shifts cost into a profit-bearing bucket. Your bill reflects it through riders, which hide inside acronyms. You don't argue because it looks like a regulatory alphabet soup. There's also the private credit angle. Non-bank lenders fund aggressive terms that banks won't touch because regulated cash flows look safe. Preferred equity stacks on top, with fixed distributions that act like debt. Who pays those distributions? Ultimately, ratepayers, via filings that claim necessary capital costs. As private credit grew across utility deals in 2024 to 2025, these layers multiplied. The more layers, the more pressure to pull cash out quickly, and the more likely. Maintenance gets trimmed at the edges. You might be thinking, aren't regulators supposed to stop this? They try, but commissions are understaffed and outgunned. Utilities show up with consultants, economic models, and carefully curated reliability charts. Settlements avoid full hearings, which sounds cooperative, but often locks in most of the hike. If a commission pushes back, appeals drag on, and political pressure builds from investment uncertainty. The message: approve the plan or risk the lights. Quick microstory. Last month, a small business owner asked why a new storm hardening rider hit his bill after 3 brief outages spoiled inventory. The utilities filing showed millions for resilience, but vegetation cycles had been stretched the year before. When I walked him through the docket, he saw the reclassification of work as capex and a special dividend upstream. His reaction? I'm paying for the ladder they kicked out from under me. That emotional gut punch is the point. Hikes land now, while the basics slip. Once you understand the sequence, leverage, cuts, revaluation, fees flip, the pattern on your bill makes sense. Riders are the breadcrumbs. The names vary by state, but the function is the same. Move cash from your account to the capital stack. And because the flip window is short, there's urgency to lock in returns now, before winter storms reveal what maintenance neglect really costs. Now meet the firms that run this at scale, and how their fingerprints show up in your region. Name the villains. Who's buying your grid? Let me show you the logos behind the riders on your bill. These aren't cartoon villains. They're sophisticated asset managers with patient capital and a clear mandate. Turn regulated cash flows into fee streams. Recent headlines confirm the push: Blackstone, through GIP, pursuing multi-billion utility stakes, Brookfield recycling capital into regulated wires, KKR taking platform positions, and Macquarie/IFM running long-dated infrastructure funds. Start with Brookfield Infrastructure. They love wires, pipes, and long concessions. You'll see their footprint in transmission, gas networks, and increasingly, stakes in U.S. utilities and pipelines. Their pattern is consistent. Recycle capital, lean on non-recourse debt at the asset level, and grow the rate base through modernization. The filings read well: resilience, reliability, digital upgrades, but the financing stack often includes preferreds and project debt that demand steady distributions. Where this shows up for you, new infrastructure or storm hardening riders justified by multi-year capital plans, while everyday O&M quietly flattens. Their investor updates tout billions in refinancings and backlog additions. Translation: your bills service a pipeline of projects and the cost of capital layered above them. KKR next. They prefer consortium deals and platform plays. In transmission and distribution, they'll buy minority stakes, bring in pension partners, and push a standard operating model: cost discipline, programmatic capex, and tight budgeting. Most people think discipline means savings passed to customers. But in practice, it's headcount controls and contractor squeezes, coupled with rate cases that frame capex as essential modernization. You'll notice mandatory productivity improvements in testimony, then a proposal to reclassify recurring work as capital to expand rate base. KKR also shows up around merchant generation and midstream tie-ins, which creates incentives to steer capacity and interconnection strategy toward assets they influence. It's subtle, but it can shape which projects get prioritized. Blackstone plays grid-adjacent and increasingly grid-direct through its infrastructure platforms, including GIP. They're deep in pipelines, storage, and utility stakes, with private credit arms underwriting aggressive terms. When they move into utility stakes or take privates, they pair the ownership thesis with fee engineering, management agreements, advisory fees, and occasional dividend recaps that upstream cash early. On the ground, you'll see extra riders to recover extraordinary costs and regulatory compliance investments. They'll emphasize transition credibility, green bonds, ESG frameworks, while financing mixed portfolios. The optics are clean. The cash flows are what matter. Macquarie and IFM bring foreign pension money with private equity oversight. They've been in U.S. utilities and transmission for years. Their hallmark is infrastructure fund governance, long-dated benchmark hunting returns, combined with hands-on cost control. They're excellent at winning rate cases with polished benchmarking studies that prove their O&M is efficient. Everything changes when those studies become the baseline for future cuts. Vegetation cycles lengthen, spare parts inventory gets optimized to the bone, and outage minutes creep up, slowly, until the next storm exposes the margin. Now the accelerator. Pedal, private credit. Non-bank lenders have flooded into utility deals because regulated revenue looks safe. That's why you're seeing more preferred equity, holdco notes, and amortizing term loans stacked on operating companies in 2024 to 2025. These instruments aren't evil, they're just hungry. They don't care whether a substation needed preventive work. They care that quarterly distributions clear. When a winter or summer crunch hits, the tension shows up as emergency riders, and fuel adjustments that mask financial plumbing. You might ask, aren't stakes minority? Doesn't that limit control? In theory, yes. In practice, governance rights, budget approvals, and shared services agreements give outsized influence. A 20% holder with board seats and vetoes can steer CAPEX timing, procurement, and filings. They don't need 51% to shape priorities. One more player class: mega asset managers repackaging transition portfolios. They blend renewables, storage, and legacy assets, then sell the narrative of net zero pathways. The catch is incentive alignment. Transition CAPEX earns a return, pruning trees doesn't. So transition headlines get funded first, and mundane reliability gets deferred at the edges. So how do you spot their fingerprints? Look for filings that feature capital plans growing faster than O&M with efficiency benchmarks, new riders for storm hardening, vegetation, and technology enablement, reclassification of routine work into capital projects, dividend or cash distribution, references tied to new debt, expert testimony from recurring consulting shops across multiple states. Microstory: a Midwestern docket featured a 5-year grid modernization plan with AMI upgrades, substation automation, and a vegetation pilot. The utilities owner group included 2 infrastructure funds and a private credit lender at Holdco. The commission approved most CAPEX, trimmed O&M a bit based on benchmarks, and allowed a resilience rider. 6 months later, an ice storm toppled lines on a corridor flagged for trimming in an internal audit. Customers saw outages, then a storm cost recovery filing. The fund saw exactly what they planned for: capital deployed, distributions paid, and a path to exit. Numbers are abstract until they hit your kitchen. These firms are disciplined and skilled. That's the point. Once you recognize the names and the patterns, you'll read your next rate notice differently, and you'll know where to push back. Human cost: bills up, reliability down. Let's make this real. The pattern isn't a spreadsheet. It's what happens in a neighborhood when maintenance gets stretched and the weather turns. Vegetation management slips from 3-year trimming to 5. Crews flag a corridor as monitor instead of clear. Then a wind event blows through. Branches slap lines, 2 spans snap, and your block goes dark for 8 hours. Most people think that's just a storm. It's engineered fragility, predictable when cyclical work gets delayed to make room for CAPEX headlines and fee extraction. Average outage time is already creeping toward 8+ hours per household per year in the US. You feel that as spoiled food, missed shifts, and medical stress. Here's where it hits hardest: medical dependence. If you use a CPAP, you can limp through one night. On night 2, sleep deprivation adds cardiovascular risk. Insulin needs refrigeration. An outage pushes you into ice runs and temperature anxiety. Home dialysis requires stable power or a backup plan with fuel and maintenance you weren't budgeting for. When reliability decays, these households turn into emergency logistics centers, burning time and money just to maintain baseline health. Energy poverty turns weather into a hazard multiplier. During heat waves, people throttle AC to avoid bill shock and cross the line from discomfort to danger. In cold snaps, space heaters and ovens become risky substitutes. Mortality doesn't spike because one grid failed spectacularly. It rises because millions make desperate choices when outages and high bills collide. That's the silent toll, not headlines, just incremental harm that never shows up in an investor letter. After Texas's 2021 freeze, we saw how thin margins become deadly. 200+ deaths linked, yet the financial model didn't change. Small businesses feel it as compounded costs. Take a corner market. A 2-hour outage spoils dairy and prepared foods. Freezer defrost cycles restart, compressors stress, and the month's repair budget evaporates. Then the bill lands with a storm hardening rider and a fuel cost adjustment. You're paying more while absorbing surprise downtime your insurer may fight as utility-related, not covered. Margins thin, hours get cut, prices tick up. Customers blame the owner. The owner is actually subsidizing a capital stack they can't see. Let's talk renters, because this model punishes them in quiet ways. In master meter buildings, management pays the bill and recoups through rent or pass-through. Fees. If the utility adds riders, they're padded into next year's lease. You can't shop rates. You can't install smart thermostats or submeter. And when outages hit, you're dealing with elevator shutdowns, stairwell darkness, and food loss without the option to add backup gear. In some cities, landlords tack on utility admin fees that climb while service degrades. You're captive to two monopolies, the building and the utility. Now, connect reliability to work. Remote employees lose pay when connectivity dies. Gig workers can't charge devices or travel safely. Care workers miss shifts. The economic ripple isn't theoretical. It's hours, tips, and contract milestones slipping because trees weren't cut and spares weren't stocked. Most people think resilience is a big battery and a press release. Resilience is actually boring. Trimmed corridors, lubed switches, tested relays, staffed crews. That's the stuff that got optimized. A quick example: a suburban feeder with known weak spans and a flagged transformer from thermal imaging. The fix was budgeted as a multi-year automation and replacement project, great slides, solid capex. But the stopgap, replace the transformer and add guying before storm season, was pushed a quarter. First icing event, the transformer fails under load transfer. Customers out for 12 hours. The utility files to recover storm costs later. The automation project proceeds. The outage was avoidable with routine work. It didn't happen because the return sits on capex, not on prevention. Here's another lived cost: time. You reshuffle your day to wait out an outage window with no accurate restoration estimate. Food spoils, kids miss online classes, your phone dies while you chase updates. Then the bill arrives with a technology enablement rider for advanced metering the utility still doesn't use to give you precise restoration info. You're funding tools that aren't deployed to reduce your pain. Most people think the grid is old, so outages are normal. Age matters, but age with care works. There are 40-year-old substations that hum through storms because they're maintained. The failures cluster where preventive work got thin and vegetation management became a spreadsheet line item to hit a benchmark. When owners plan to flip in 5 to 7 years, maintenance with a 10-year payoff is easy to starve. Viral truth: boring work prevents viral disasters. Let's put numbers into household behavior. If your bill jumped 18% in the last year and you earn median income, you might cut thermostat set points, delay car maintenance, cancel a streaming service, skip one grocery upgrade. Add a 2-day outage and you're rebuying groceries, maybe replacing a surge-fried appliance and missing shifts. That's a rent payment's worth over a winter. The cash didn't vanish. It moved upstream to debt service and fees labeled as resilience. So no, this isn't random weather. It's a system tuned to favor capital growth over uptime. And when the storm track shifts or a heat dome sits longer than modeled, that tuning breaks in predictable ways. The bill goes up, the reliability goes down, and households carry the gap with stress, health risk, and lost income. This is the human ledger of a financial playbook.